And now, from the Bell Lifestyle Studio, here's Mike and Dave.
8:11 News Talk Saga 960 Raw. Mike Richards. You know, it's kind of perfect that on a Wednesday, considering the show is called Raw Mike Richards, that we have a team that went down to the state of Texas where everything's bigger, man. Everything's great. Don't try Texan. Unless, of course, your name is the Gilgronis, because you met up with the Arrows, and I got to tell you, the only thing that was big about that game was the score that the Arrows had, because it sounded a little bit like this.
Off a great night already for his Arrows debut. McKenzie, quick hands. Yana already 5 points. They come right again. Quick hands will do it. Moore in the corner. Beautiful ball from Adams, though. Flat cut out pass to Moore. And the skipper gets 5. And you can see him thanking his fly half right there. Beautiful lead-up work from the number 10 from New Zealand.
There it is right there. Absolute magic. Danny Moore, man of the match right there. And look at the disappointed faces on the Gilgronis. And I've got to tell you, there's nothing worse than a sad Gilgronis. A limp, dangling, hideous, flaccid Gilgronis. Yeah. Well, as we have...
Oh, that wasn't the audio.
No,
I thought, that was you.
Oh, I can do it. Oh, I'll do it.
I like it.
So this morning, we're pretty pleased to have in, once again, we have Lucas Rumball, who's joined. Now, you, Lucas, are a Scarborough. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I actually made the drive out from Scarborough this morning.
That's a little bit of a hike.
Well,
congratulations. That's good.
Tough roads out there.
No kidding.
Yeah, Lucas, don't hurt yourself. What's high school for you? What school were you?
I went to Senator O'Connor Catholic Secondary.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. As a member of the team, of course, played last week, and then the director of rugby. Now, I'm right now becoming such a huge fan after I hear some of the background.
Yes.
Let's hope that Chris Silverthorn, these aren't made-up stories. As Chris joins us now from Lindsay, Ontario. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Well, is this true? So you not only the coach, manager of the rugby team, but also cop as well? Is this what I understand?
Yes, it's true.
Okay, so I got a little idea. I'm just going to throw it out. You tell me if you like it.
Director of rugby for the Toronto Arrows.
Yes.
So if you catch it, I'm going to call him a bad guy. Perp, if you will. I don't know what the lingo is. I'm just play with me on this one.
All right.
So let's say downtown Lindsay, and the guy steals a purse, and you catch up with him, and you say, okay, I'm going to take the purse. I'm going to throw it to you. I'm going to give you about 10, 15 yards. If you can get by me, you keep the purse. It's exciting for the crowd.
I'm not sure if that's not frowned upon in this society.
Look, I've been to Lindsay. There's not a lot that's frowned upon, my friend.
You are correct there, sir.
Yeah. I'm from Stouffville, so I'm doing a lot of bragging. Let's just
fair enough.
Let's just say that. Well, look, thanks so much, Chris, for joining us here this morning. We just played one of the highlights, and your captain was the man of the match, which kind of works out really nicely. I look at that sort of early domination that you guys had in that game. The way that you sort of think about it, or in your mind, the way you drew it up for the Arrows, it kind of all seemed to go to plan. But as a coach and as the guy who manages the team, it's never perfect. You never walk away thinking that you did everything exactly that you wanted to do. If you're looking at that game to take away going into Houston, what are the things that you'd want to see change? What things do you think you want to do better?
I think basically it was just the skill execution. The guys I think were nervous first game of the year, national television. And basically, just a bit of jitters came across, and we just made a few mistakes, but they're all skill errors. I think the basic game plan worked very well for us, and we're very happy with it. So.
Now, when you see the number of players, and we talked about this when we first met Bill, and he brought all the guys in, including Dan, they do come from all over, really, the world to play. Therefore, I'm just curious, in different sports, you can see a style or based on the culture of, let's say, in this case, rugby, that they grow up with. Coming to play our young Canadian guys, many of them obviously on the national team, so they're not neophytes. These guys are not green. But do you see a difference in which, when you put them all together, is there a challenge from sort of a coaching position to get them to sort of all understand a unified way of thinking about rugby?
To be honest with you, no. What we've done is we've really gone for character. There's a lot of really good rugby players in the world, but it's character first at the Arrows, and that's where we are. So everyone that comes in has strong character, moral fiber, and they're all just switched on guys wanting to play together and perform as a team.
On the line right now with us is the director of rugby for the Toronto Arrows, Chris Silverthorn. Chris, as far as having that position and coaching with the Arrows and so forth in a fantastic history, you're the winningest coach in Canadian Rugby Championship history, held several different international tours, played for the national team as well. What is your day-to-day job like as the director of rugby? What actually goes into your position, and what sort of things do you handle that a lot of our listeners, a lot of our viewers worldwide on Twitch are watching us right now? What exactly goes on in your day-to-day?
Basically, it's just managing the day and managing the time. We've put together an excellent staff. We've got an attack coach, defense coach, a scrum coach, a skills coach, a great SAC coach, and then Coco, our analyst team, is fantastic. So it's just really managing them and making sure that we're all checking all the boxes and making sure we're all working together as a team.
Now, Lucas Rumball here in studio with us. If you're watching on Twitch or joining us here on News Talk Saga 960, also streaming as well. Lucas, this is so exciting that this level, and I talk about it all the time here in the GTA. Sometimes there's an obsession, obviously with Leafs, Raptors right now, whether it's the Blue Jays, but there's a massive culture, as playing in Scarborough as a kid in high school, that there's been years of a rugby culture, but now the fact that you get to play professionally in Toronto, in front of your families, eventually, whether it's going to be York as the facility or you get to Lamport Stadium in the summertime, because you're going to have a long stretch of home games, which I am very much looking forward to. But there's got to be just that huge, I would think, Lucas, a pride in the sport that you get to play, because how popular this thing is going to get, because we can feel it already, and you just know because of that foundation of rugby that I was saying, being a kid from Stouffville back in the kind of the mid to late 70s, where high schools started implementing that program. So we're talking 20, 30 years of people kind of waiting for this, and you're literally that first wave of professional rugby. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's really, really exciting. It's something that when I was growing up, going through those high school teams and even provincially, I didn't think was going to be an option. I was thinking if I wanted to continue it, I'd have to go overseas. Yes. Maybe Australia, New Zealand, somewhere else. But to have the ability to do it in your own backyard is something really surreal. So your family, now, did rugby just come kind of something that you just chose in high school? Or is there a family kind of background in its love for it? Or is this just kind of happened for you? There's not really a super big family background in it. My dad might have played in high school, but my mom never played. It was just one summer, a year before I actually went to grade 9, that I was looking for something to do, and my older brother had started playing at the high school, and he's like, come check out the Balmy Beach Rugby Club, and they have a junior team, and they'd love to have you. And sure enough, I loved it and kind of never looked back since. Lucas, of course, is Canadian international, 35 caps, returning player from the Arrows. Big win against Austin. This week you play Houston Sabercats. Now, it's funny. It's not in Houston. I thought it was in Houston as soon as I saw that. Apparently it's in Vegas. 8 different teams, almost a little bit of a tournament style. Can you explain? And by the way, for everybody listening out there watching, TSN, 2:30 on Sunday. That's Eastern time, 2:30. Sabercats and Arrows. Do check it out. What exactly happens in the 8-team Las Vegas type schedule? And obviously, if you're picking Vegas or Houston, you're going to Vegas. So this actually works out for you. Yeah, we were in Vegas for our preseason already, so the boys already know the layabout of things, and they hopefully have gotten all the things they want to do out of their system for the big game on the weekend. But it should be an exciting time. They do a really good job of hosting us there, and hopefully we can get a lot of support coming from Toronto to Vegas, because any excuse to go down, right? It's a nice stadium. It's where the Rebels play. Yeah, I was going to say, and as soon as I saw that, I should have known. As soon as it said Sam Boyd, I was thinking that's where the Las Vegas Posse also played, this former CFL team. Yes, they've upgraded it since that time. They've upgraded significantly since that time. And then I was thinking, is there Sam Boyd in Houston as well? Because maybe it makes it worked out, but nonetheless. Sorry, Mike, go on. Yeah, no problem. So Chris, when you look at now, again, this kind of travel, we know in other sports sort of what the routine looks like, certainly for football, where it's generally
unless you're the CFL, a week in between. So we know kind of what walkthroughs look like. We know what in rugby is something similar. Is the routine similar to what it's for people who are just listening for the first time and trying to get their heads around what we do for our guys here in rugby? What does it look like during the week on a travel week?
It's very similar. It's all about recover the bodies and making sure that everyone's fresh and ready to go for the next game. So there was a 90-minute yoga session yesterday morning, and then a practice in the afternoon. Today we've got one practice at 4 o'clock, and then 2 practices on Thursday, and we fly out Friday morning. So it's pretty much that, just making sure everyone's ready to fire for Sunday.
Now, how long when people talk about yoga now, in the NHL, they've been doing it for quite a while. There's that hot yoga, there's all different kinds. How long is that sort of the stretching element in yoga been sort of an accepted part of what rugby teams do?
I think for the past several years. It was brought into us last year in our inaugural season. By about week 2 or 3, we just decided we need to get the guys off their feet, but they need to still do some mobility and some stretching just to keep themselves moving.
Lucas, last year your team defeated the SaberCats in both matchups. Houston won last week. They beat Colorado. So do you guys look at game tape from that? Because obviously just both rosters have obviously changed over the course of a year. So maybe there's some unfamiliar faces. How big is video presentation as far as the pre-scout going into Sunday's game?
Yeah, I'd say our focus would be on us. We definitely do take a look at our opposition, see where we can attack, see where they like to attack us, and we will adjust accordingly. But I think if we can do what we do really, really well, I think it makes us the best possible team. And focusing completely on what other teams do, I think would leave us behind, really.
So when you hear, for instance, Chris, Lucas talk, there's a confidence in this team. So for you, as managing this team, can you also manage your expectations? Because it feels like there's a real confidence, which you obviously need to have in any sport, especially this one. But what deep down are the expectations for the Arrows this year?
The expectations are to be there at the end, to be really competing for the Eastern Championship, hopefully successfully, and then move on and fight for the Shield for the MLR Championship. That is the goal. Because
it seems like in Bill, obviously our owner, who as we talked to at the very beginning, the moment these guys came in the studio, and Bill, it's not a cockiness, like there's not an arrogance to it, which there's that fine line at times, and I think Lucas, it's a young guy, it's a sport filled with testosterone. It's really easy to get caught up into, but I think as Chris alluded to, it's also about the character of those that you have on this team. So therefore, I think you're kind of that reflection of a quiet confidence. You're going to walk onto that pitch, you're going to feel like you're going to win that game, but I don't really see any showboating necessarily.
Yeah, I think the guys we bring in want to perform to the best of their ability week in, week out, want to put the best product out there for the fans, for the investors, for everyone involved. So I think to have any other goal other than being there at the end would be selling ourselves short.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's showboating this weekend on Sunday.
Who?
Me.
All right.
Because I'm going to Hemingway's. Oh, yeah. You want to see someone go, what is that guy's a dick? Don't worry, he's not on the team. Chris would never stomach a guy like myself. Just never. He's like,
I know we're up against the clock here, guys, but Lucas, I'm just getting a quick Twitter notification here. You're a vice captain. You're 24 years old. You're definitely not an older player on the team. How do you come across being a vice captain? How did that actually work? Was that appointed by the coaches? Was it a player's vote? Obviously, that's a really good act. Just a compliment to you as a player on this team that you are a vice captain of the Toronto Arrows.
Yeah, I think it was a continuation of the leadership group from last year. Myself and Dan as well were captain and vice captain.
Right.
It's appointed by the coaches, but I think the team doesn't work well if we also don't have the respect of the players. So it worked very well last year, and I'm hoping and I think it will work very well this year because I think the boys have my respect. So,
well, like I said, it is just from everyone who comes in here and for
it's a good group, isn't it?
It's a really good
I know
group.
We've only met a handful of players, and we've talked to obviously ownership, Bill, and everybody else. But I mean, it's just it's a pretty positive energy around the club, and I know we've only been doing this for 2 weeks, but it's almost like something we look forward to every Wednesday. And
I've always said this, Dave. You kind of hope that your hometown team are good guys. Like, you want to cheer for the good guys, and these guys are that, and they have to be exceptionally
well, you know what's really funny, too? So they're very social media friendly. I saw pictures of players in the stands hanging out with some of the traveling fans. I was like, you know what? Let me know if you ever see that during a Raptors game, a Jays game, a Blue Jays game, an Argos game. You know what I mean? It just looked kind of cool.
Argos, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
You know what? I could give you that argument.
Maybe.
Sure.
But they'll be dwarfed by what the Arrows are going to do. They'll go home with you, I think. Lucas, do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, we're very accessible. Whatever you guys need, whenever you see us, don't feel afraid.
Chris,
to
is
come
that
up
possible, or maybe there's a legal implication about guys just going home with people? Is that okay?
Everything's a game on. Let's go.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much. Love your team, man, I love the segment, and we're certainly going to be there all the way.
Don't let Lucas there sell himself short here. He's been the captain for Canada now on numerous occasions. So.
Oh, very cool.
See, humility.
Yep.
Something we sometimes in the studio have none of.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. We think we're pretty awesome.
Hey, Chris, best of luck this weekend in Las Vegas.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Lucas, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Bill, pleasure as always. Love the segment. That is Arrows Up that we are going to do every single Wednesday. And as we, highlight the wins, as we certainly hope for at Sam Boyd Stadium this weekend. Once again, that's it's 2:30 on TSN.
2:30 on TSN. That's a 2:30 Eastern start, just in case you're watching at different time zones across the nation. And yes, it's in Las Vegas, Sam Boyd Stadium. Houston SaberCats, who won their first game as well. So a pair of undefeated teams meeting in week number 2 of Major League Rugby season.
And the viewing party at the famous Hemingway's in Yorkville, and someone is going to be there. Oh, yeah.